everybody. I know it's been a little while since we've done one of these, but it's been a crazy few weeks since the last one, and I don't really have anything planned for this wash and talk, but we'll just kind of chat about what's going on for the last couple of weeks and catch up with you guys. Yeah, so we're washing the G-Wagon today, obviously, and it's pretty filthy. It's been, I don't know, it's probably been a month or two since I've washed it, so took it out in a rainstorm, and ever since then I haven't been able to wash it, and I've been driving the 5 Series down to Tucson, so that's been getting filthy, so figured we'd take care of the G-Wagon today. But yeah, so this past weekend we went to Austin, Texas, and we went to a marriage retreat with the church, which was pretty cool. You know, we were sitting down at the dinner table on the last night of the retreat, and you know, I was just kind of taking note. It was pretty cool. Like, we had like 3 doctors. Obviously Julie's a lawyer, and then we had me, the real estate guy, and then we had 2 dentists and a physical therapist at the table. So it's like a table full of you know, studs who are out there trying to make it happen with their wives or their fiancés and stuff. So it was a pretty cool weekend. I mean, you know, 90% of the info you get at those retreats is kind of useless, but the 10% of the info that you get that helps, you know, it's like any, you know, conference or retreat you go to. It's like a lot of it is, you know, networking with the people that are there, and then, you know, a good portion, you know, a small portion of it is the information that you actually receive. So it was fun. I'd definitely like to stay in touch with those people, and I know Julie, you know, we weren't necessarily looking forward to it because we've heard horror stories of, you know, pre-marriage retreats and marriage retreats and stuff like that, but overall it was pretty good. And you know, we had some fun in Austin, Texas, but it was so I just actually installed some security cameras in the front and backyard because we had somebody got their car broken into in the neighborhood, so I figured, you know, why not just take that extra layer of protection. And ironically, when we were on the plane getting ready to take off for Austin, I get a notification from the camera, and it says somebody's been spotted in your backyard. You know, and the cool part about the cameras is they're battery powered, they're wireless, and everything, and then they can recognize, you know, humans versus cars versus pets and all that. So it knew that there was a human in my backyard. So I log on to the camera and I get the live stream, and some guy, you know, some old guy in flip flops and a t-shirt is wandering around in my backyard. And I'll add the footage in to this video so that you guys can see what I saw. But it was it's kind of weird. He just walked straight up my driveway like he owned the place, and went in the backyard and was just like snooping around for like 5 or 6 minutes. And so the other cool part about the cameras is you can actually go on. They have a speaker on there and a microphone, so you could actually talk to the people that are you know, through the camera. And so I log on, and he had been walking down my driveway by the time I was able to get, you know, logged on to the live camera, because my wireless connection wasn't great on the plane. And so I just say, "What are you doing?" And he kind of looks up and starts looking for the camera, and then he just starts walking away. So I sent out an email to all the neighbors about what happened, and, you know, nobody knew who he was. And we got some other people had cameras in the neighborhood and caught him walking down the street. So we knew he didn't live in this neighborhood. It's a pretty small neighborhood. There's only 20 houses here. And so, you know, the crappy part was I was stuck in Austin, Texas. I couldn't, you know, come and figure out what was going on. But I had told one of the neighbors immediately, and he came down here with his dog and a gun and made sure everything was, you know, secure. And then so when we got back yesterday, I was like, I bet you, you know, it's got to be somebody who lives around here. So I was like, in the morning on my way to the gym, I'm going to go knock on some doors and figure out who was in my backyard, because it was bugging me. You know, they didn't look inside the house, and they didn't go towards the door or anything. They were just snooping around in the backyard, which was weird. You know, obviously you could see in the video. It was just weird. And so it just leaves you uneasy. It's just like an unnerving thing to see somebody just breaking your privacy and stuff like that. So I was excited to get back and look around. So this morning I went out to the gym, and on my way to the gym, I pulled up to the guy. I figured it might be the guy who lives right behind me, so I go, I go to his door, and he's wearing the same shirt that he was wearing in the video. And so I knew it was him. And so I tell him, like, hey, somebody was snooping around in my backyard, like, this weekend, just want to, see if you know anything about it. And he's like, oh, what do you mean? What happened? And I was like, let me clarify. Like, I caught you on camera in my backyard. Like, what were you doing back there? And, he starts getting defensive. And he starts saying, oh, I was, a tree branch from my backyard had fallen in your backyard. And so I wanted to go back there and get it out of your pool. And I'm like, well, why didn't you just knock on the door and ask before you went in my backyard? And he's like, well, no one was home. So I asked him, like, how do you know nobody was home? And so he responds, and he starts rambling on and stuff. And so I'm like, all right, I live right behind you. Let me give you my phone number in case anything like this happens again. And he's like, oh, no, it's fine. I don't need your phone number. I'm like, all right. Since you don't want my phone number, in the future, if you need to go on my property or something, of your concern is on my property, then I want you to go to my front door, ring the door, the Ring doorbell, and you can communicate me from anywhere in the world. I can be on an airplane, home or not home, and we can discuss whether you can go on my property again. But please don't go on my property without asking. And so the whole thing was just kind of strange. Like, my conversation with him was just as strange as the video. And so I'm glad I got to see, I figured out who was in my backyard, but it didn't necessarily kind of close the case for me. So still uneasy about this guy. So yeah, that was kind of alarming when that whole thing happened. But, I might have to pop into that guy's backyard and show him how it feels. But so lately I've been searching for, things have been kind of winding down on the F10 project, and there's not a whole lot I can do to this. So I've been, searching a lot for a project car that I can kind of make some content about on the channel. And it's definitely been tough. Ironically, I was looking on OfferUp. And for those of you that, don't know me or are new to my channel, my first car was a Jeep Wrangler, and my second car was a 2006 BMW 325i, and it was a really cool color. It was a deep metallic green. I'll post a photo of it so you guys can kind of see what it looked like. But that was like my first like real car outside of the Jeep, and I put a ton of miles. I bought it with like 60,000 miles, and I ended up selling it with like 106,000 miles a few years later. But I had started in real estate, and I needed a more practical car than a Jeep Wrangler because I was out in Arizona selling real estate in the summer, so the AC wasn't great on the Jeep Wrangler, and it just wasn't the right car for the job. And so I wanted to get something nice, and I had paid off, or I had owned the Jeep outright, and Jeeps always hold their value. And so I ended up, my mom helped me find this BMW in California. So my brother had went and bought it for me and picked it up and kept it at his house until I was coming home, I think for the summer or maybe for a holiday or something. So I finally got to pick it up from him when I went home, and I had sold the Jeep in Arizona, and so I was going to drive it back. And so I freaking love this car. It was like, it was my pride and joy. I babied it. I like, when I turned it into the dealership to trade it in for my 5 Series, it was pristine. It was like in mint condition. And the funny thing is, I was on OfferUp, and I was looking, and I've always kind of wanted to buy another car in that color. I really liked that color. But they're hard to find. They're rare. Like, most people don't buy those from the dealership because, they get white, black, or silver. And so I go on OfferUp and I type in, green BMW, just kind of seeing what's out there. And I find one that's like identical spec to the one I had. And the two really unique things that were about my car were, one, it had a tan interior, but I had replaced the floor mats with black interior, or black floor mats. So I bought OEM black floor mats and I put them in the tan interior. And then I had gotten in a like fender bender where somebody had backed into my car in a parking lot, and the trunk needed to be repainted, so they had debadged the trunk. So there was no badge on the trunk, and it had black floor mats. And so this one, I see it on OfferUp, and it has black floor mats, but it had been listed like 7 months ago. And so, you know, I'm trying to get in touch with the owner of the car, and he's not responding. And, you know, he had it priced really high, and I was trying to get the VIN number so I could see if it was my car, and I couldn't get a hold of the guy. And so I started going through the images that he had posted on OfferUp of the car, and he had a picture of the engine bay. And in the engine bay on those cars, you can see the VIN number on the fender. And so I was able to make out the VIN number from the fender, and so I searched like all my records, and I found a piece of paper that had my old VIN number, and it was a match. And so I got really excited. I was like, man, this is my first car, like it's for sale again on OfferUp. And so, but the guy wasn't responding to me, so I started just doing more research on the pictures and the other stuff that he had listed for sale. And he had barn doors, custom barn doors listed on his OfferUp. So I ended up finding that his dad had a barn door company, a custom barn door company out here, and I found that company. And so I messaged them on Facebook, and I said, hey, you know, saw your ad for barn doors on OfferUp, but I also saw you had a green BMW for sale. Like, do you still want to sell it? So they messaged me back, and they're like, yeah, you know, it's my son's, and he wanted to sell it, but he didn't sell it, and so, you know, he took it down, but he still wants to sell it. And I'm like, all right, great, I want to buy it. And so they're like, well, we're out of town, so reach out to us on Monday, and we can talk about it. And I'm like, all right. And this car is, you know, like, I'll post some pictures of what it looks like now, but when I had it, it was pristine. You can see from the pictures I showed you earlier, but it is disgusting now. Like, seats ripped up, like, it's just, like, poorly modified, like, he put exhaust tips on it. It's just, like, not what you want. And so he wanted $6,000 for it, and now it has 160,000 miles on it. So it's, like, completely overpriced. But I'm like, you know what? It would actually be a really cool series if, you know, I bought this car back and I restored it back to OEM in pristine condition. Even though I'd probably be, you know, underwater on the car, it would hold a lot of sentimental value to me. So I wait, and then Monday I message them, and I'm like, hey, I'm ready to work a deal on this car. Like, let me know what you guys want to do. And so they message me back, and they're like, yeah, when can you come see it? So I tell them, like, hey, I'll come see it today. And then they don't respond. So I wait till the next morning, and I say, hey, like, is today a better day? I'd really like to come see this car. And then eventually they respond, and they say, hey, like, we're no longer interested in selling. So yeah, I was pretty disappointed to get that message. So I guess the son changed his mind and maybe realized that, you know, that's kind of his best option. But I imagine the car has 160,000 miles on it, and it hasn't been maintained at all. So it'll probably break down pretty soon. And I let him know, like, hey, if you ever want to sell it, like, let me know. I'll definitely buy this car. And so I imagine that it'll eventually, you know, break down, or something will happen to it where they'll want to sell it and get them something new. Because it seems the kid is pretty young, like maybe 16, 17 years old. So, you know, fingers crossed. I'd definitely like to buy that back, and it would be awesome if I get it for really cheap, because it's not really worth much to anybody else but me. So that's kind of that story. So got a dead end there, and so we're still looking for another car to bring on the channel. But for those of you that are interested in the real estate stuff, so the condo in Tucson that I've, you know, showed you guys a ton of videos about, you know, we bought that for $135,000, and we put about $7,000 into it, and we completed the project a couple of weeks ago, and we listed it for sale. And so originally when I brought it on the channel and showed you guys, our plan was to sell it for $180,000, and that was our target price to flip it for. Well, some new comps came up and the market changed a little bit, so we ended up listing it for $190,000. So $10,000 more than we originally planned for. And so we got some good activity on it. And then the first day we ended up getting a contract for $205,000. So we just, they were very serious about it, and we felt good, and they waived a part of the appraisal contingency. So I felt really good about it, and ended up just accepting the offer on day one. Or maybe it was day two. Yeah, I think day two we accepted that offer. Because a lot of the other offers were coming in, a little bit below that. And, we probably could have squeezed a little bit more out of this property, but felt good about, the buyer and where it was at and how serious they were. So we went ahead with it. And so their inspection period ends today. I know they found a couple minor things in the inspection, but, God willing, they move forward. So, if we can close for $205,000, we would make out really well on that. We would more than double our money, I think, with the extra $25,000 in revenue, because we would, we got an 80% loan on it. So I think we got a loan for $105,000. So we put $30,000 down, and we put $7,000 into it. So that's $37,000 in equity that we have out on it. And so all in, if we bought it for $135,000 and we put $7,000 into it plus closing costs and commissions, I think we're into it for a little less than $150,000. So we would make $55,000 on a, plus we get our initial, $37,000 back. So yeah, it's a pretty good deal for a small little condo. And then the other one, we are still renovating. It's been taking a lot longer than we had hoped, but that's kind of the name of the game with this stuff. So, but we have more projects under contract right now. We have 2 more under contract. We have one that's in a really good area. It's only like 1,100 square feet, and it's a 3-bedroom, 2-bath, but it's in a really good area of Tucson, like one of my favorite, areas to buy in. And we're getting it for $195,000, and it has a tenant in it right now that's paying $1,400 a month. So we cash flow day one on something like that. And then, when the tenant moves out early next year, we can kind of figure out what we want to do with it. But it buys us some time to kind of see what happens with the market and where the comps go for a flip, or if we want to just keep renting it and holding it on. I know the tenant wants to stay in there, but I think market rent for that property is a lot higher than what they're paying. So we'll likely have to give them a non-renewal notice so that we can, raise the rents and get the most for the investment. But I think if that tenant moved out, we can probably, if we put, $7,000 or $8,000 renovating it, we could probably get like $1,650, $1,700 for it. So I'm looking forward to that deal. It's not a steal at $195,000, but it's still a great deal. I think, as is condition, it's probably worth like $230,000. We're getting it for $195,000. If we were fully renovated, we could probably sell it for $300,000. So it's not a slam dunk from a flip perspective, but as a rental and a long-term hold, I think it's a really, really great property. So we'll rinse off the car, and then we'll foam it up and start washing it. All right, so we got it foamed up. This thing's pretty dirty, but I know I usually kind of have like a topic I talk about for the wash and talk, and I know a lot of you guys like the About Me one and stuff like that, but I figure it's a little bit more authentic and a little bit easier for me to produce them when I can just say, hey, I'm just going to record and talk. And so the best thing you can do to help support me is watch these videos all the way through and drop a like on it. The worst thing you can do is just open the video, like it, and click off of it. So, but yeah, I think one of the topics that I've, never really discussed on my channel or even with my friends is my relationship with God and where I stand on religion and stuff like that. And so the reason why I bring it up is because it relates to my daily routine, which I think, when people look at successful people, they want to talk about their daily routine. And so my daily routine really is simple. I wake up in the morning without an alarm because it gives me anxiety. I hate alarms. And then once I wake up, I get up, do my thing in the bathroom, and the first thing I do is I go and I pray. And so I know a lot of people meditate, pray, do whatever. And so mine is I pray, and I use something called the Agbeya. It's the Book of Hours. It's a Coptic prayer book. And if you don't know what Coptic is, it's an Egyptian language, but more so like people relate it to Egyptian Christians. So I'm Egyptian, and I'm an Egyptian Christian, and so I wake up, I pray the Book of Hours. That's the first thing I do. And then right after I finish that, which it only takes me 10 minutes, I make my bed, and then I go to the gym. And then after the gym, I get ready and I start working. And so I just kind of take on whatever I have for the day. So I usually make like a little list in my notes app, the main tasks that I have to get done for that day. And then the best part about that is it takes away the anxiety of knowing of like, did I get everything done? Like, am I forgetting something? And it's like, you're not, because you made a list and you finished the list. So that's why I make those lists. And, just writing things that you have to do down in general is really helpful with getting rid of anxiety and stress, because you know exactly when you get everything done. But the reason I put so much emphasis on talking about prayer in the morning is I do think it's a good form of meditation, and I do think it's one of the few advantages that I've had in life, and like a big reason why certain things have worked out for me that shouldn't have worked out is because of that spiritual life that I have and hold. And I think without, I'm not like a model Christian or model person, but I'm in the fight. And I think that's what God or whoever you believe in values the most, is the fight, You're fighting every day to improve and move forward and live a righteous life. It's more important than, I think, actually living a righteous life, is how hard you have to fight to live that life, because everybody is born with different demons and different baggage and stuff from their family, and so living a righteous life could be a lot more difficult for some people than it is for others. But if you're fighting for it every day, I think God really values that. So I think it's important to maintain a routine like that. And it also gives me clarity and releases anxiety as well, because I know it's like, all right, today I prayed, I said my prayers, I had my spiritual growth. So anything that's out of my control is taken care of by God, And whether you believe that or not is up to you, but I believe it. So for me, it provides peace in my life, because in my world, I have a lot of things that are out of my control, and a lot of the work I do is out of my control. So I know once I say the prayer and I do my routine, I know that I've done my part. If the chips are going to fall where they fall, and so that brings me peace, a lot of peace. So I think it's an important thing, and I'm not saying you have to be a Christian or whatever it is, do your research and find where you land. But you got to have that spiritual growth and that, that meditation every morning to clear your mind and get rid of the anxiety, because a lot of times people, the reason why they don't get a lot done is because they just sit in stress. They're like, well, I don't know what to do, I'm stressed out, and so they do nothing instead, and then the stress builds. And so if you can do stuff that gets rid of stress and anxiety, it'll help you become more productive. The less stress you have, the less anxiety you have, the easier it is to perform, the easier it is to do a certain task. And then you can relate it to like sports. Like in sports, you can do something perfectly in practice, and then as soon as you get to the actual game and the nerves kick in and stuff, you forget everything, or you freeze up and you don't do the action like you should have. And you're beating yourself up about it because you could have done better. You freaking messed it up. And so it's the same thing with life. It's like if you're always stressed out and anxious, like, how are you going to perform? How are you going to get the action done properly? So, I mean, some people turn to drugs, some people turn to alcohol, whatever it is to get that peace and to get that stress relief. And so I think it's healthier to do it a different way. And my way is making my bed every morning and saying a prayer, so that way when I get home from a day, whether it goes my way or not, I got a made bed to lay in. And it's way more comfortable when your bed is made than when it's not made. I know that for a fact. So I have that to look forward to. And that the things that are out of my control are taken care of. And everything will work out the way it should, whether I know what's going on or not. So that's kind of my take on religion and my routine and what I do every day and how I get the results I get. And, you know, that's part of the reason why I went to the marriage retreat is, you know, that's one of the requirements to get married in our church is you have to go to this retreat. And so some people find a way to make an excuse to get out of it and whatever, and, you know, that's their choice. And I probably could have found a way to get out of it because of COVID and whatnot, but I figure, am I setting the right tone in my marriage by skipping that, by skipping something that's supposed to provide a benefit to us and go to an environment where we can learn from people who've done what we want to do successfully? So I decided, you know what, I'm going to suck it up. I'll take the weekend and go do it. And I got to say, I'm glad I did, as much as I didn't want to do it. We'll get this rinsed off, pull it in the garage and dry it, and wrap this up. I know I've talked about it before, but I need to get a leaf blower so I could blow the water off these cars. But the other thing I figured I'd update you guys on is stand-up comedy. I know a lot of people have asked me, like, when's your next show, like this and that, and so it's kind of complicated because, like, when I started stand-up comedy, it was during, it's like the beginning of COVID and the beginning of 2020 is when I started it. And so I was at a different point in my career then, you know. I really miss the freedom I had back then, but yeah, I mean, I was able to dedicate a lot more time to it, and like my personality type is like I'm all in. Like I don't want to do like a show every like once a month and that's it. Like my personality is like if I'm doing stand up, I'm doing open mics every week. I'm doing, you know, shows, I'm taking classes, I'm writing, I'm doing this and that, and those of you that know me know that to be pretty accurate. But now with the new company and as much as I'm focused on YouTube and stuff, it's just like I don't have the time to fully dedicate to it right now. And so I figured, you know, my most viable opportunities right now are YouTube and my real estate company. And I feel those are where I can make the most progress in life right now. And I mean, those of you that are involved in arts to any degree or any creativity know like what a grind it is to try to make your art profitable so that you can spend more time on it. And, you know, stand-up comedy obviously for me is not going to sustain my lifestyle to the degree I need it to right now. So I just had to take a break from it. You know, I still get messages and DMs from club owners like saying, "Hey man, whenever you're ready, like come back out. We want to host you and we want to do events around you and that stuff." And it's like I'm really proud of what I was able to accomplish in stand-up comedy in the short time that I was, you know, fully doing it. Because I feel like I got pretty decent. Obviously not like Chappelle level, but I did it for a year. And, you know, I won some contests. I got paid gigs and, you know, I made myself noticed in the community for sure. People noticed who I was, and I learned a lot of skills, that's for sure. And I still use those skills even when I'm just in casual settings, just like I still write down jokes, I still write jokes and stuff like that, even though I'm not currently performing, but I still write jokes and I still use what I learned on the stage and things like that, and how comfortable I got in sales and YouTube videos and, in life. So I'm super, I don't look at that chapter as closed yet, but I also don't look at it, even if it was closed right now, I look at it as like a very valuable time in my life, because I learned so much during that time. But I really think that YouTube, one, I'm more passionate about, I'm really passionate about cars and stuff like that, and I really enjoy making videos and editing for you guys and all that stuff, and it's just easier for me to make time to do YouTube videos because I can do them whenever I have free time. Like if I have free time, I can't always get on the stage and do comedy. I have to make time, versus YouTube, lends itself to being more convenient for somebody who has a full-time gig, which, I have a full-time operation with a new company that I have to attend to, and, I can't get distracted with stand-up comedy right now. And I'd like to, I'm sure I'll be able to go back to it very soon, hopefully maybe by the end of next year we can start doing shows again and kind of start that journey over again. And if the YouTube channel continues to grow and continues to prosper, then I think that'll only feed into the stand-up comedy. If I have an audience, it'll be much easier to convince you guys to come out to my show versus right now. Like if I have 200,000 subscribers on YouTube, which I think I can achieve in a reasonable amount of years, then, I can sell tickets and sell shows and things like that a lot easier. So I think they both feed into each other. But it's super addicting. Stand-up comedy was like very, very addicting. Like the high you get from being on stage and making people laugh is like unmatched. I've never, even like having a viral video, like having a video that gets a lot of views is fun and cool, but it doesn't even compare to what it's like to go on stage and just have people howling and laughing and, just running the crowds. And like, for me, this is another, form of meditation when I come out here and wash the G-Wagon and connect with you guys. It's like, one, it's a hobby, but two, it's like kind of cathartic to come out here and wash it and just be away from it, not have to be on my phone, not have to deal with phone calls or anything like that, and just come out here and speak my mind and talk about the stuff that's on my mind. So I appreciate you guys that watch to give me the ability to do this, even if it's 40, 60 people. I enjoy it nonetheless, and I get a benefit from it. And if a couple other people learn some stuff about real estate or cars or life or help find themselves, then that's way more than I sought out for, But it's funny to watch people that I know like try to start YouTube channels now, that like you can tell in their video like their only like desire, the only reason why they're making that video is strictly because they want to get views and they want subscribers. And don't get me wrong, like I've done that. Like I've made videos where I just strictly for clickbait or to get views or to get subscribers and stuff like that. And it's taken me a while to find like my niche where I come in here and I wash these cars and I blend kind of, real estate and cars together. Or like I actually, like, even if I wasn't filming this video, I would be in here thinking these same thoughts and washing this car. I would 100% still be doing this. And so to bring you guys in and film is, my outreach and my, I don't know, kind of my olive branch too, because I've lived a very like closed off life my whole life, where I don't really let people in. Nobody really knows what I'm up to, and I don't talk about what I'm doing. I just kind of work in silence and do my thing. my interests. And so this is the first time, like this last year has really, you know, been an experience where I open up to people and I share with people like what I'm doing, what I have, what I'm working on, my personal life with Julie and things like that, and made myself really vulnerable, which I think is good for people, but also to like connect with people. Like I've connected with a lot of people that I normally like wouldn't text back, or, you know, wouldn't normally hang out with, and it's just helped me be more open to, you know, I guess having friends and stuff like that. Because otherwise it would just be me in my house with my cars doing my own thing, not sharing it on Instagram, not sharing it on YouTube. And I think like most people don't realize like how difficult it is to open up your life to the camera. You know, even if like, you know, the video is only going to get 40 views and it's all going to be your close friends, it's still like hard to have that vulnerability. And like, it shows by the fact that most people don't have a YouTube channel. Even though I know many people would love to be in the position where they can just make money posting on Instagram or stuff like that. All right, so I'm going to put some BeatMaker on this, but appreciate everybody who's watching. If you're new around here, make sure you subscribe, drop a like on the video, and check out some of my other wash and talks and my other videos if you want to learn about my cars and real estate a little bit. But make sure you subscribe, drop a like, and appreciate you guys watching. I'll see you next time. Thanks for watching. I'm just really trying to show you no love. Say you tired and you need a new love. Use what you got for your lose love. See new things with your views up. Yeah, what you want, new things.